Hi, I'm Panda Hershey with Your Full Expression. Welcome to the January 18th Coffee and Charts call, where we talk about how we can finally release 2022 and commit to the work of 2023. With Mars and Mercury now both moving forward, it's time to engage with all of those emotionally charged details that are helping to build the framework that we need for the new year. And so this is a good time to rewrite any New Year's resolutions you may have done before the new year started, because you just didn't have all the information you needed. But if you can, wait until January 22nd to commit to anything, because that is a day that is not only the Lunar New Year and the day that Pluto completes its journey for 2022. It's also a day where we'll be ready to accept the need to release whatever has been holding us back so that we can shift how we show up and engage and be present for the work ahead in 2023. On this call, I give an overview of what 2023 will feel like and how all of the portals weave together to create our life for the year. If you want to skip ahead to that, just look below in the description for the timestamp. And if you want to see how all of these energies apply to you directly, I would love to have you join the soft launch of our Compass membership, where we have this framework that allows you to see how the energy that affects everyone comes together in your life specifically. If you've got dreams and goals and a really busy life, this membership allows you to have the framework for scoping out and planning how to give your best self to all of those things. As always, we'll look at the movement of the planets, and I'll give you some key days to pay attention to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. I'm going to work really hard to keep this to the 20 minutes because one of the things I knew I wanted to do today was give an overview of the energy for the year. And that will take a bit of time for sure. As I was writing it out, I was realizing, oh, wow, there's more here than I realized. And I think it's great to walk into the year knowing, okay, here are kind of the things on the horizon, and how do I at least position myself for all those things that are coming? And some of them are really, really wonderful. And so I want you guys to know about this ahead of time so that when something pops into your field and the timing seems perfect for feeling that energy for yourself, that you're aware of that and you can allow space for it to have this wonderful thing happen to you, or many wonderful things happen. So we're just going to dive in and I'm going to get going. I feel as though the first couple weeks of the year, there was a little bit of a respite because Mercury and Mars were still in this retrograde. And it wasn't that it wasn't without its stresses, but there was less that you could be doing about it. And now it feels like, oh God, now the work's getting going. And that is where we're at right now, especially in these next 2 weeks. And I'll talk a little bit about how that wraps up. And if you're into doing a little ritual, like a time frame, you'll kind of see where it might feel like you're ready to do that and release 2022. So so with Mercury going forward today, Mars going forward since last Friday, it's time to engage. And this is what brings us out, gets us active, and makes stuff happen in a visible way. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start with just yesterday, that Venus. So just a reminder, here's Mars, Gemini. And Mars is now moving forward. It's been doing that for 5 days as of today. But as you can tell, it's stationed at 8 degrees and 8 minutes. It's barely moved. And here is Mercury, still in its retrograde yesterday, but moving forward today. And here it is at 8 minutes, 10 degrees. So these two things together at 8 degrees bring us the information we need. As I mentioned in the email, it is emotionally charged. And that can be like excitement, but it can be frustration. And I guess I would just offer up that it may be hard to be neutral about it. And the Mercury energy will help us put it all together into a framework. But you'll see why I want you to hold off, if you can, on making any commitments or setting anything in stone for a few more days. So Venus is moving through, starting yesterday, the 2022 Saturn portal, where we were streamlining our lives in terms of the ideas that stories we may have been telling ourselves all year or our whole lives, frankly. And releasing things that seem heavy in some part of our life. So you look to see where Aquarius is. And if something just feels like, I can't do this anymore, you may get that reminder starting yesterday for a few more days. And there's a little bit of time still to let that go. And it will just free you to do more things and deal with the year that's coming. Today, the sun has been moving through last year's Pluto portal. So if it felt since a couple days ago that you've been dealing with energy of the work you've been doing all of last year, and it finishes today and moves into doing the things that feel like the energy of this coming year, all captured in 3 days. And what it may feel like is putting together this framework that gets you to the edge of I want to say a cliff, but not quite that. It's like building the ladder that gets you to the top of the mountain so that you can take the peak over the top and see what's on the other side. So that's just a taste of what's coming for this year. And we'll keep playing with that energy throughout the year. And finally, Mercury stations direct today. So it will start moving forward at the same time that Mars is moving forward. And if you think of yourself being right in the middle of that, you can see how you're getting stretched by these energies. And then on the 20th, the sun finishes its move through that Pluto portal for this year and gives you that taste of what is coming. On the 22nd, so in just a few days, Pluto completes its portal for last year at 28.5 degrees. And remember that the 2023 portal already opened a few weeks ago. So there is this little bit of overlap, and it creates, I think, a smooth transition. And it also, for those of us who have something between 28 and 28.5 degrees, it gives you another year to work on that tool, which I think is great. And you can look at your own list of tools in your planet order table and see if you've got something there. But the 22 portal will be done that day. And at that same day, Venus crosses over Saturn. So receiving or accepting or appreciating the structure or the release that you've been working on all last year. And what I think is so perfect is that Uranus has been retrograding for the last few months. It starts to move forward. So this feels energetically like a real ending. You've finished the year, you're letting go or acknowledging, oh my God, that has to go, or I did a great job of letting go. And I'm ready to change how I show up. Those all come together in just 4 days. And of course, it doesn't happen overnight, but at least you get a little momentum to get going. And Venus leaves the Saturn portal, plus the moon has swept through this, bringing that little extra push to get us going and finish the last year and be ready to move on. Then on the 27th, Venus enters the Saturn portal for 2023, and Saturn in Pisces will be about being selective about the people we want to share experiences with. And what is so interesting about this portal for Saturn is that the Venus, Sun, and Mercury will all pass through the portal before Saturn actually even opens. So what does that mean? It's almost like you get the exposure to the broadest set of people that you want to hang out with, that you could hang out with. And at the end of all of that, when Saturn opens in March, you get to pick what it's going to be. So during February, you kind of cast your net really, really wide. See, who do I want to feel around me? What kind of energy do I want to feel around me? And then you'll get to narrow it down. Then that Saturn portal from last year completes. And Venus completes the 2023 portal for Saturn on the 1st when we meet again. So we're going to go back. You can. Options. Watching the moon start to sweep through here is always fun. And we can watch Mercury start to move forward, as well as Mars. You'll see Mercury move much more quickly than Mars does. And then, of course, Venus kind of sweeping through this Saturn area over here, first in Aquarius and then in Pisces. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I should have also pointed out that at the end of the month, the moon moves over Mars. So potentially an emotionally charged day. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the retrograde portal guides. I'm going to try to point out the page numbers. I've been reminded gently that it's helpful. So there are some pages that relate to the new year. If you're interested in having that, just reach out to me and I will get that to you quickly. But much of this is still closing out 2022. So on pages 16 and 17 is the Mercury retrograde portal that is making its last pass. It moves direct, moving forward today. And this framework that we need for the future, what new info from the Mars portal is coming in that needs to fit into this framework. And because Mercury moves faster than Mars, you may feel as though I need more information than I've got right now to make this framework viable. But just know you're going to work with not enough information. And that stuff will come. And what comes is just part of your new year's work. And you do the best you can. But you do have a few more days before committing to whatever structure is pressing in your life, in this part of your life. The Mars retrograde portal, Mars stationed direct on last Friday, the 13th. So remember, these two are moving together very tightly for just a few more days, where both of them are between 8 and 9 degrees. And so if you have a tool here, and I have one here in Gemini, and I got to tell you, it's very emotionally charged. Have some gentleness with yourself and do the best you can to bring things together, and recognize that you are emotionally charged, and doing the best you can. Pluto, pages 18 and 19, starting on page 18 in your 2022 portal retrograde guide. From the 16th to the 18th, so ending today, we've walked through the doing of finishing up last year. And the portal is completing. This is a good time to think about all that you have accomplished and how the last few days connect to that. And this is not in your 2022 book, but this is for 2023. What are you doing now to do some of the work that you know is coming in 2023? What do you think is ahead? What might change? How is there a hint of what's changing in the status quo for 2023 for you? Saturn, on page 22 in your guidebook, Venus is going through the portal, and soon it will be the Sun and Mercury to kind of do any last minute wrap ups and then think about it. But is there anything more that is asking to be let go? It will free you to enlighten your load, make you ready and more able to take in the work that needs to be done in 2023. And for the 2023 period, Saturn's portal, Venus will be going through that from January 27th to February 1st. So choosing the crowd who shares my experience. And finally, Uranus, that wonderful connection of, okay, if I've wrapped up 2022, let go of what I don't need. Now I'm ready to change, shift how I have been showing up. And this is the second round that began in May of last year. So if there was already some work that was needing to be done and that you accomplished, you weren't ready for the second section of change of your presence, what you do, how you use your body until now. And there is a few months ahead of allowing all the things that happen, the new things that are coming, to be part of that change. And so that is the connection with ending 2022 and beginning the new year. Okay, so just the quick story of what's happening these 2 weeks. It's finally time to say goodbye to 2022 and immerse yourself in the work for 2023. Just see what you can do to shake loose anything that is no longer serving you so you can shift how you show up. The framework that you are creating from the Mars and Mercury portals that began last year are helping you set the framework to go forward this year. So I love how it all ties together through those two portals, bringing together 2022 and that transition into 2023. So appreciate the way you've streamlined your life in 2022 as Venus is moving through the Saturn portal. the sun moving through this Pluto portal, this tiny bit here, wherever that is in your life. You're just putting the finishing touches on 2022 and checking out what is happening with 2023. This change in any status quo may be something you initiate, or it may be something that's presented to you to deal with, but just be ready to receive it and meet it and know that you have a year to work with it. Mercury moving forward. This is the portal right here. Here's the Mars portal, and they're both moving forward. So it's ready to start talking. But again, if you can hold off on any commitments, please do for a few days. And then the 22nd, this day where so many things come together. The Pluto portal ends. Venus finishes or crosses over Saturn at this on the same day, and Uranus starts to shift and move forward. So for me, I'm changing how I show up completely this year or last year and this year. And so there's a lot going on there. And then the Saturn portal completes on the 29th. And so here's this overview, I think, of 2023. And I'm going to try to carve this section of the video out so you can just listen to this part later. So if you can bear with me, you don't have this picture in your guidebook. So just listening and receiving and being able to go back and listen again later so you can check the details, but see how it feels for you. And I hope it helps make sense. So this is a snapshot of what 2023 looks like. Pluto is basically unchanged. This is the Mercury that we've just completed. The Mars portal is still here because it's still seeping into 2023. One of the key things I love to point out here is how there are two lines here that overlap. Jupiter and Saturn, Jupiter and Mercury have the exact same portals. And that is a key thing for this year. So the work is really about what Pluto is doing for us. And I think it all boils down to preparing for this new world structure. We get just the smallest taste of it. Pluto in Aquarius is only from March 24th into mid-June. So it's just a couple months. And those couple months will just give us a taste of how things are going to change. I have no idea what it will really be like, but we get the rest of the year to it's almost like looking over the side of the tip of the mountain to see what's down below and saying, okay, I'm going to go back down and I'm going to tell everyone else what I saw. And we're going to, now that we know, we're going to build what we need to get ready and go over to the other side. And so that's what this year is about. All the other things that you're going to be doing are to prepare you for what is changing. And that really arrives a year from now in January 2024. So the connection is first, this second half of the Mars portal relating to taking in the ideas that you're going to need for the future and putting your heart into them and applying them to the new year's energy. From January until May, the 2022 Uranus portal continues, restructuring the way I am present. That began last year and continues for another 5 months. From 2023, from January into late March, the Pluto portal opens and is in Capricorn until March 24th. So you're doing everything you can to create the framework that takes you to the next level, that allows you to deal with changes in the status quo. And during that time, it's who do I want around me? Who's part of my community that I get to build my framework with, as well as who am I going to want with me in this new changed world? Then, when Pluto moves into Aquarius for a couple months, we will be using all of our tools to deal with whatever upheaval or change in the status quo appears. But during that time, we will experience a little bit of Chiron in Aries, so unexpected outcomes that put the spotlight on you. So it may feel like, oh, wow, this change is pointed right at me and I have to do something about it. Or I've initiated a change and it makes people uncomfortable. And this is just what I know has to be done. But somehow, I have no idea how this is going to show up. That will begin to initiate in April, right as Pluto moves into Aquarius. During that same time frame of Pluto being in Aquarius, Mercury in Taurus, that Mercury retrograde, will be having you think about the possibilities that are coming. So a little bit of this Mercury retrograde portal will overlap with last year's Uranus portal. So it's almost like thinking about the changes you've been making and then thinking about the possibilities that come from having made those changes. And Pluto starts to retrograde back in the middle of that Mercury retrograde. So it's almost as though you're thinking about what you can do, what needs to change, and you get to stop pushing for anything further. It's almost more time to work on yourself. And the Uranus portal shifts. There's almost this recognition of deeper restructuring and changing in how you show up. That happens. And then in June, after the Mercury retrograde portal is done, it's like 3 weeks, and then the Jupiter portal opens in the exact same place in your chart. So whatever you're thinking about, talking about, in terms of what you are doing with your body, that growth opportunity comes in June. It's just lovely to think about that. It's almost like you're planning your growth during April and May. And remember that Pluto is going backwards. So you can stop pushing for whatever whatever effort you've been trying to do in terms of your framework. It's almost like I'm going to back off. I'm going to come back down the mountain, work on all these things in myself so that I'm ready. And that includes the growth. Plus, right at the same time, just a few days after the Jupiter portal opens, Venus in Leo opens. And it's a few months of seeing who appreciates the gifts that you have to offer. And I think it'll be about building your confidence in whatever that is. And these two things are running in parallel, that you're growing and someone loves what you're doing. And I think such a nice combination. And at the same time, within this Venus portal, the Mercury retrograde in Virgo helps take that fun, what's so easy for you, and helps you perfect it. And something will be in there to challenge you to say, hey, Panda, step it up a bit. You're having fun, yeah, but you can do so much more. And that will be all of us in there, growing, being appreciated, but also the right things coming to say, hey, you can do better. You can make this really beautiful. And I call it transforming fun into a work of art. And then in the fall, you get to integrate all that happened during the summer and integrate all of that growth that you experienced as Pluto starts to move forward. So you will be called to bring those new tools in and new experience in towards rebuilding that framework to get you to the next level. And the Mercury retrograde at the end of the year may identify either a hole, like one more thing you need in your set of tools. So it's like going to learn something, or maybe you need to share some knowledge for someone else who has a hole in their framework so that they can put it into what they need. And there will be this additional narrowing down of the company that you keep. It's almost like, okay, here's going to be my party to go over that mountain with, take a peek over the hill with. And January 21st, a year from now, is when Pluto goes into Aquarius again, and we will be bringing all of our tools to that new world. So I hope that this story is one that helps you set the kind of the framework for the year and helps you think about, oh, if there is some wonderful opportunity coming this summer, I'm going for it. And allowing that space will bring hopefully wonderful things into your life and lovely confidence and the ability to transform what's fun for you into some work of art. So, tips for thriving. It is time energetically to say goodbye to 2022 and commit to 2023. Notice any emotionally charged details or ideas. What should you use as part of your new framework? Not every detail will fit in. Bouncing ideas off of other people, because those frameworks are not just for you. It is a community energy that will help you decide which details should be incorporated, especially if you are feeling just too emotionally charged. And I put myself in that bucket in just one thing in my life. If you release the ideas that no longer serve you, you are more available to shift how you show up so you can engage in the work of 2023. Whatever, again, I keep saying this, whatever feels heavy, it's time to let it go. There will be this opportunity to do it in over the next few weeks and let it off. It served you for a while, and you can gently release it and thank it for all it did bring into your life and move forward. And finally, because it's 9 o'clock and I'm late, there are still some Pluto retrograde workshops. Here are the dates. Let me know if you want to do one. And finally, if you want to dive into the work that we're doing here and see more specifically how it applies into your life, in 2 days, we're having our first call for Compass. I frankly am keeping this soft opening open until I get the portal completed. And just reach out to me and let me know. Okay. All right. I apologize for going late, and it's a big year, you guys, but I hope you feel prepared and ready for all that's coming, because it's very exciting, and your tribe is going to be there for you, with you, and I'm looking forward to it. You guys are part of my tribe. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. It's really wonderful. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. All right, everyone. The video will be up soon. I am going to carve out the 2023 things so that you can listen to it and see my notes. And have a wonderful day. And I will see you in 2 weeks. I hope you feel prepared to move through these next 2 weeks and are also open to all the opportunities coming in 2023. It's going to be a very exciting year. And If you're interested in joining Compass or attending one of my Pluto retrograde workshops, just send me an email. The email address is just below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.